So welcome to our first WiSDEM Lunch and Learn. We have three wonderful panelists here today. We have Liz Riley, Hannah Smith, and Miranda Gutierrez. A little overrepresented in horticulture, but that is fine. We do have a rep from welding. So we're here as like a get to know you for our welding advisors, and I have a couple questions here, but it's a casual hangout time, and if y'all have conversation, then that is completely fine. We'll just hang out for a little bit and have folks get to know you. So without further ado, my very first question, whoever wants to start, how did you get your start in your career?
You can go first.
Since I have the microphone, I can go first. So how did I get started in my career?
Maybe say your name too.
Yes. So I'm Hannah Smith, and I am a new instructor here at ACC. And the way that I got started in my horticulture career is actually it kind of goes back to high school, which I know a lot of folks don't talk about their high school experiences because as you get older, it becomes further and further away. But it was really instrumental in my getting to where I am now. So when I started out, I didn't know anything about flowers. I had no interest in horticulture or agriculture. And I got put in this floriculture class in high school and realized that it came really easily to me. And it was something that I enjoyed doing. So we went on a tour of the Auburn University greenhouses in Alabama, and this was in 2007, 2008, and they were like 98% of graduates in our department have job offers when they leave, which the economy was crashing. So that was really important at the time to have job offers and know that there was a career out there for me. So I decided to apply to Auburn, and that was the only school I applied to. So I just went for it and went into horticulture and finished my bachelor's in horticulture. I never changed majors because I liked it that much. And then went into my master's program and did an assistantship with the Alabama Cooperative Extension System. So that is kind of where I got into the teaching part and working with the community and building relationships. So I worked with them during my assistantship, applied for jobs, started working for North Carolina Cooperative Extension, and then decided that I really wanted to focus on teaching. And the instructor position at ACC just kind of fell into my lap, and I decided to go for it. And here I am. So I've been here 2 months.
Yay.
Yeah. So far, so good. And I think that everything that I have done throughout from high school, college to now has kind of led me to ACC and being able to help the students and help them be successful in the industry. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You want to go next, Miranda? We can break up the horticulture.
Yeah, sounds excellent. Okay, so my name's Miranda Gutierrez, and I'm one of the welding instructors here. So a lot like what Hannah was talking about, my experience started in high school as well, actually. I started in carpentry my junior year, and so wanted to take a carpentry class, learn more about the tools, learn more about actual measuring skills and application skills like that. And I was just really didn't know what I wanted to do when I got done with high school. All my friends were going to nursing school. I had friends that were going to dental school, and I was really struggling to find something that I really wanted to do and something that really appealed to me. The medical field really didn't appeal to me exactly, and it just seemed like a really long time for me to have to go through it. So just really did not appeal to me. I wanted something that I wanted to go into quick. I wanted to get done with school, and I wanted to have a career and start making money. So started in carpentry in high school, and we had a welder in there, just a small little welding machine, and I dabbled a little bit with it, and I found out that this is really fun. I really like this. And I was always just a little bit of a pyromaniac, so it kind of appealed to that side of me. So then my senior year, I found out that you could be dually enrolled while in high school and take college classes. So my senior year was whenever I decided, okay, well, I'm going to try welding. I want to see if I really do want to get into it as a career. I came here, I started taking welding classes at night. I would go to my high school classes in the morning. I'd come here at night, and I just fell in love with it. So ever since then, went through the program. I got done really quick, and then I went out, made a career for myself. I worked at a couple manufacturing plants until eventually I worked at Deere Hitachi, where we built excavators. And that's pretty much the highlight of my career. I had a really good time there. And I've been coming back here and there. I was substituting for a while. I did teach part-time, just small little classes, but then they offered me full time and I accepted it. I really do. I feel like I have a greater purpose whenever I'm here teaching welding, because it's the next generation. You got to get everybody ready and get them prepared, and you get to relay to them everything that you've gotten to learn. So I find that very, very rewarding. And so I do miss production, and it's something it's like a catch-22. It's like, well, I love teaching, but I really do love like welding constantly. So you find a good middle ground, but that's how I got started.
And for those of us,
The pass of the remote.
Yes.
So hi, everyone. My name is Liz Riley. I'm also in horticulture. Oh, no, come back this way. Oh, here. It got mad. There's
Yeah.
a nice shot of the window. There we go. Yep. And actually, I'm going to close this behind me just because it's a little, I don't know how to operate these things. Sorry, guys. What is the little thing they hold up? The little cut. All right, we're coming back to action now. Sorry. Okay. So my name is Liz Riley. I'm the department head here for horticulture. So Hannah and I are in the same department. And then Miranda's actually in our division. And in our division here, we have a lot of really great programs: welding, horticulture, HVAC. We have automotive, CAD, culinary, animal care. We have so many cool things, agricultural biotechnology. And so I was really fortunate 4 years ago to be hired here as the department head, and I've loved it ever since. But it's a little bit about how I got to where I am. Is similar to Hannah's story a little bit. I grew up on a farm where we raised Angus beef cattle. And so I knew at an early age that agriculture was something I wanted to do. And then my grandmother and she was an avid gardener. And so I would just kind of follow her around. And when all the other kids were going to Walmart to get toys, I was like, oh, Mimi, let's go get, I don't know why this thing is so angry at me. Here, sit. Let's go to the garden store and get more plants to put outside. And so we would do that. We would plant. And I just really loved that. And then so when I started high school, I thought I wanted to be a vet. I shadowed a vet. A dog came in, had some issues. Liz almost threw up in the vet's office, and I decided that is not what I need to be doing. So I was very fortunate. I took advantage of that opportunity to shadow someone ahead of time and not make a lifelong career mistake. But when I got to high school, I started taking FFA classes. I was in several agriculture classes. And the horticulture class, anytime one of the teachers was like, we need somebody to go out and raise or water the plants in the greenhouse, my hand would go up first. And not because I wanted to miss out on class, but because this thing hates me. There's Hannah. There's Miranda. It's messing up my story. Sorry, guys.
Great story.
Yeah.
Come back over here.
If it gets back to you, maybe press the middle button so it stops wandering around.
I don't know what it's doing. I'm sorry, y'all that are watching from home.
Yeah, like this isn't my story. It's Liz's time.
Come back to us, robot. Come back to us.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what to do. It won't work.
You can manually.
Let me show you whose box over here, little screen, but then it's not going to tilt down. So it's just like looking at the ceiling. There it goes. Oh, okay. Don't make it angry again, Luke. Don't make it angry. All right. I'm going to sit this. Okay. All right, guys. I don't know where I was at. My story. Something happened.
Take care of the greenhouse.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to go take care of the greenhouse. And again, not because I wanted to get out of class, but because I just love being out in the greenhouse. And I still remember this day very vividly. We were in the greenhouse potting up stuff, and my FFA teacher was talking to me. She was like, you should really look at, think about horticulture as a career option. And I was like, for school. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm taking horticulture now. When I graduate, I don't know what I'm going to do. And she was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you can go to school and major in horticulture. And I just kind of looked at her like, you have lost your mind. You can't go to school to play with plants. What are you talking about? And she kind of laughed back at me and was like, yes, you can. I have a degree in it. It's
totally an option. And so at that point, I kind of started realizing, oh, okay, I need to figure out what I want to do. It took me a little while to figure out that horticulture was for me. But me, similar to Hannah, I started at NC State in horticulture, and I never left. I was there for my bachelor's, my master's, and my PhD, all in the same department, and kind of moved through all those roles, and was very fortunate to get this job here as a department head, because I get to work with great students in our programs, in other programs, especially women, because they are a minority in a lot of our fields. And that's why WiSDEM was created. And so I'm very, very appreciative that I get to be a co-advisor on this also. That's how I got here.
Awesome. So I'll ask you this question first, since we're already on you, Liz, and we can't trust the robot
We don't
anymore.
want to make the robot angry.
Has a plant ever done anything that made you think you were going to throw up?
Yes. Yes.
What?
Yes. A smell of a plant. Yep.
Hmm.
Some plants smell like rotten animals because of the way that they are pollinated. It attracts certain wasps and moths and flies and stuff in to pollinate. And so at NC State, actually, they have something called a corpse flower, and they only flower every so often. And it was a big deal. And my research happened to be like 2 greenhouses past that one. And to get from one greenhouse, you have to go through one into the next. Ew, it smelled like a rotten corpse, literally. And that's why it's called a corpse flower. I mean, then we actually had some here in our greenhouse that I've grown a lot, but I've never actually seen it flower. I've never allowed it to get to that point because it's a house plant, so I keep it pruned back. And one of my colleagues brought it in and was like, here, smell this. And I stuck my face down in it and almost threw up because it smelled so bad. So then naturally, of course, I had to do it to a few other people because, I mean, why not? It was
Spread the
great.
joy.
they didn't appreciate it, but I thought it was great. And they were just like, no, it's like a purple fuzzy plant and it's so cute. And it smells so bad. But yes, a plant has almost made me throw up before, Lou, by the smell.
That's great. And my question for Miranda is for the audience. Could you tell us what an excavator is?
Ooh,
That's a
good
great question. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. So what an excavator is that it's basically just a big shovel. It's something that we use to dig out a lot of land, dig out dirt. A lot of people use them for even crushing stuff. They'll use the big hydraulic arm to basically just bring stuff down. And then the different bucket attachments that you can have onto it, there's different ones like there's a different plant here in North America that Deer Hitachi has where they actually make wood chippers. And so it's still the excavator part. You still have the whole body, the main frame, you'll have the arm and the boom. But instead of a shovel, like a bucket, what it is that it's basically just a shredder, and it'll pick up like logs and it'll chip it and it'll cut it up. So, and it's basically just what we use to whenever we're building stuff, whenever we're having to take out a lot of land, pools, people have their own personal, like mini excavators so that they can dig out dirt for their pools, or they just want to have a really nice garden. So you can get, excavators can vary in sizes from just a regular size one-person one to as big as ones that go all the way down to mine shafts. So probably bigger than this room, honestly. So
And that's some overlap too, because we use excavators a lot in our industry. We use
Yep.
the smaller ones, but we use them when we're installing hardscapes or a water feature, or like you said, we're having to take some stuff out and kind of redevelop that landscape. So
absolutely. There's an excavator actually over where they're building the new Excellence Center. So there's a Hitachi one. More than likely, I've worked on that. I have to go look at it actually. So
awesome.
it's for developing and it's for building.
Awesome.
Cool. So you can take a look at it and let us know if the welds are any good or not.
Yes, absolutely, I can.
Cool. Sorry, I didn't think of any questions for you yet. Except for what is Alabama? We could do that.
It's a state.
It's a state.
It's way down there with all the other,
That's
down there
right.
somewhere.
It's with us. So we're in the
Okay.
South. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So kind of piggybacking off of that, could you all tell us, if you could travel back in time, what advice you would give yourself when you were in school?
Since I got it, I'll go ahead and say, dedicate yourself more to the craft. I know that I was really hard on myself anyways, and I really wanted to push myself, but I feel like I could have really done better. I either could have had better attendance, or I could have had, showed up to and performed better on this exam or like this weld. configuration, which is basically just like a little joint that we have to weld up on just a regular piece of steel. And I feel like something like that, I should dedicate yourself to it. Like if you're really going to be a part of it, do it 110%. Absolutely. So really, really study and focus on it. Don't let other people get in your way.
Okay, so for me, probably is almost a little bit of opposite of what Miranda said, because for me, I am a perfectionist, and that is something that I have really had to work on in this job. And that was a piece of advice that was given to me when I first started in this position was, especially your first year, give yourself some grace. Because there's going to be things that you may make a mistake on, and as humans we are flawed. And so when I was in school, I would really beat myself up if I made a C or even a B on an assignment, and it would really affect my mental health. And that is something that I think, going back in time, that I would tell myself is not to worry so much about some of those small assignments or small mistakes that I made, because again, we're all flawed and we all make mistakes. There is somebody asked me the question the other day, because I was talking about, I just want to be perfect. And they were like, do you know somebody that's perfect? And I was like, no, I don't. And they were like, well, so do you think any less of those people because they are not perfect? And I was like, no, I don't. And so then what? And then the question was then put back on me. So why do I put so much pressure on myself to be perfect? So just a little bit of a life lesson that I've learned recently about kind of letting go of some of those small things and those small mistakes. And you come back from it, and you need to enjoy life. So taking out some of that perfectionism will allow me to enjoy things a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I would say one thing that I wish I would have done more of is take advantage of opportunities as they are presented to me. I am a big chicken, basically, I guess I could say. So sometimes I get intimidated by things, and it makes me super anxious because I have anxiety. So Hannah's a perfectionist and I have anxiety. So, we go really good together. And so it would make me very anxious. And so I would oftentimes find myself just saying, no, I'm good. Like I'm just going to pass on that. Whereas if I had taken advantage of some more of the opportunities, I think I would have found my path to teaching a little bit faster. And kind of figured out some things and, gotten more experience, like as much experience as you can get to build yourself and study the craft and understand that, yes, you do not have to be perfect, but that you're building your craft as much as you can to be the best candidate when you go out there to start a career. Taking advantage of some of those opportunities is important. They may lead to you not being a perfectionist, right? Because if you're going on a trip that's going to change your career trajectory, wrong word. If you're on a trip that's going to, really influence your career and you're going to pick up unique things there, you may miss an assignment in class. And so you just really have to take advantage of opportunities and make sure it's something that you can handle and that's going to benefit you and work towards your ultimate career goals.
Cool. So much wisdom.
Wisdom. It's spelled wrong. We know that. We know it's spelled wrong, but we're okay with it.
That's fine. Okay, so in summary, take advantage of opportunities, give yourself grace and forgiveness, and take your craft seriously.
Yeah.
Perfect summary, Lou. Good job.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
He said it in a lot fewer words.
I know, right?
You need the extra flavor. You need the tapestry,
That's why we're instructors.
Yeah.
That's right.
We talk a lot.
That's right. So I think for the next question, I want to kind of bring it back more to the positives and, pulling away from, oh man, I should have done this differently. So what would you all say is a positive aspect of being a female in your field? And don't worry, we'll get to the challenges in a minute. But
That's a challenging question. So what are the positives of being a female in our field?
yeah, well, would you say, is there anything that you've gained from your perspective?
I know.
Do you have a good one?
Yeah,
All right, Hannah,
at least
want you
I
to go
think.
first. Lay it on.
So I think one of the positives of being a female in a male-dominated field is that back here, hello, Hi. I think one of the positives is that I get to help lead the way for other women. And so being a part of committees or being a part of decision-making processes and really being involved in all of those different aspects in the industry, well, first of all, it just puts a face, a female in the room, and then other females can see that and say, she can do it, I can do it. And then also, again, just kind of leading the charge, making changes that need to be made in the field that then change is kind of slow, of course, but like leading that way so that maybe it will be a little bit easier for other women as they come into horticulture.
That's a perfect example. Like, so when I first started, I know the camera's on me and that's fine, but when I first started, so similar to the shirt that Miranda's wearing, it's her ACC shirt, but that's a dude shirt. That is a male shirt. And so when I first started, we frequently would have horticulture shirts and they were all male shirts.
Yep.
And I was like, this isn't cool. Like, this doesn't, like, it fits me because I have a dude build, but like some of our other more petite females in the department, like it didn't fit them. I mean, literally their sleeves were like down to their forearms. And I was like, this is silly. Like, there's women's options too.
Yep.
So just being able for our department, because we give out the polos for students to wear to events and stuff, just being even able to say, hey, I actually have a women's size that will fit you much better if you want to look at it, or you can get a men's, it's up to you. But so many females came up to me after that and were just like, thank you for buying women's sizes. Thank you. It makes me feel more confident to be in something that fits me appropriately. It's like just that small change, kind of piggybacking on what you said, impacted so many women. And it was, I mean, literally, it took an extra click for me to get women's and men's. So
right. Exactly.
Good point, Hannah.
Yep.
So a lot like what Hannah is saying about just making the way and just starting it and just showing it to the other women that, hey, yeah, she can do it. I can do it too. And I always was one that liked to question stereotypes and like societal standards. So just being able to actually prove it, I guess, is satisfactory, but also being able to have a realistic example of it and to show other young ladies. I feel like that's the most rewarding aspect. Like I said before, is that's why I feel like teaching gives me that more like greater calling, if I can say that, because you really do reach out to people and you just reach out to young ladies who they don't know what to do. They don't know what they want to do. And you're able to help them, guide them into what helps better suit their personality, their work ethic, their goals in life, that kind of stuff. And so I feel like I had something else I was going to mention. Hannah was talking about making a way. And I like what Liz said, I'm just making that small adjustment to be able to help make that point, saying that, yeah, ladies are here too. Whenever we had to do paperwork at a job that I used to work at, and on the paperwork, whenever you had to do a repair, so say that something messed up, like the robot would weld a certain weld onto this part and the robot messed up and you had to fix it. Well, there's paperwork you had to sign, and on the paperwork, it would say repairman. Well, I'd go in there and I would scribble out repairman and I would put repair tech.
That's right.
And then the engineer would come down to me and he'd say, why did you scribble this out? And I was like, because I'm not a repairman, I'm a repair technician. So that's just the little stuff that I like to be able to do, is have more inclusive terminology, a fire person, a firefighter, a police person, just a repair tech, that kind of stuff. Just those little things to change the perspective, to make it a lot more inclusive, because you got to think, women have been working in these fields for how long? And we're still trying to make it a point. I mean, there's come a time.
Listen to us over here.
We know what we're saying, yes.
Did Beyonce say, "Who run the world?"
Yeah, Beyonce said it best. A little sweat, I never hurt nobody. So,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything else, Liz?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
That's great. Something that y'all made me think of, which seems like a blessing and a curse, is since you all have a craft, like there is tasks that you have to complete in like hort and welding that require skill. And the messaging I feel like we receive as men as you're great at this, like you're just inherently good at it. And that kind of can snowball until you get a lot of men in these crafts who are mediocre at what they do, but like think that they're good at what they do. So I guess the blessing side is when you've honed your craft as a woman in the field, like you know that you can do this well. And then the curse is potentially having to fight the self-doubt that goes with that, of like the messaging of you don't belong here. This is not something you do.
Oh, yeah. Like the, what is it? The imposter syndrome? Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a real thing. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I face it all the
I've been asked
time.
before if I know how to operate a shovel.
Oh,
Oh,
Lord.
I've had somebody ask me whenever
Wow.
been cleaning up and you're sweeping everything up and I have a dustpan in my hand. Oh, I didn't think you knew how to work that. Well, I put my tiny little girl brain together. I put 2 and 2 and I figured it out. You know, I just,
It was challenging, but I got
yeah,
it.
but I got it. My little girl brain figured it out. So yeah. Unfortunately, you see a lot of support. You'll see a lot of people say, yeah, that's great. Like, that's awesome. I've had people say, you're not gonna be a welder. I've had people just completely tell me. I had a student one time who told me at the very end of the semester, he said, you know, you did a pretty good job for a girl this semester. And I was like, well, yeah, I did a pretty good job because this is my job. I got this job for a reason. So we're not here to make a point and to prove ourselves. We've already proven ourselves because we're in this career. We are teaching for a reason. So it's just that fact of the matter is showing, yeah, of course we can do this because or else we wouldn't be in these positions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
And I will say, I've had a lot more like encounters with positive sides of things than I have with negative sides of things. Like I've encountered negative stuff before, like the robot. He hates me. He's trying to figure it out.
Just giving it some little help.
Cup of coffee.
Yeah, just a
he's
little help.
asleep. All right. Are you with me, robot? Okay. So I will say, and that is something that I would like to make a point about, is that I think we get in our own heads, similar to what Hannah was saying with perfectionism. We get in our own heads and because we're raised to do X, Y, and Z as a female and maybe not as a male. And so we get it in our heads that, oh, this is not my place for me. But I have seen and witnessed just in the past years that I've been in this job, so many guys that would never think that, right? So like I've just experienced a lot of positivity because when I started this job, I didn't know how to run equipment. My background is in nursery production and you use very little equipment doing that. Yes, I grew up on the farm, but again, I didn't get trained in how to operate the equipment. And so, you know, having to build up my confidence because I was hired as a department head who should kind of know what they're doing, but having to build up my confidence and say, hey, so-and-so, I know you know how to use the skid steer. Can you mind training me on how to use it and working with me for a few minutes? Because if you show me something once, I might need it one more time, but show it to me twice and I've got it. So I can run almost every single piece of equipment we have now. But again, there was a stigma of I'm the department head, I should know everything. And let me just say that's no, like I don't. And I will always be the first to admit that, but we have to kind of overcome that barrier. And again, 9 times out of 10, if you ask for help, positive support, but there is sometimes where you run into those issues of people who, yes, maybe are a Debbie Downer, I guess you could say, whatever, bring you down a little bit, Derek Downer, if we want to, whatever, downers. So, yeah, so we don't have to assign a gender to it, but yeah, so, you know, just sometimes you just got to put it on and you got to own it. And sometimes that's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is what is so great about, for me, like especially having you, Liz, as the department head. Is the robot going to move? I don't think the robot's going to move.
Robot. We're having
So that is what I really, that's what I enjoy or think is beneficial for me, is having Liz as my department head, or even having, you know, the handful of females that I've met in horticulture that have been somewhat mentors to me is you run into those kinds of situations where, you know, people will say something that it tries to put you down, but then you have that community within horticulture, within welding, or, you find your group and then you can go to them and ask for advice or say, how would you handle the situation? Or you can just vent and then let it go.
Yep.
And move on. But that I do see that. And that's something for me too, coming into this position as an instructor, is that I hope that I can be that person for maybe some of the female students that we have in our program or that will come into the program, is that then I can be kind of that mentor or that person that they feel comfortable going to and say, hey, I had that situation. This situation happened to me. Like, how would you handle it? And give advice that way.
Exactly. And that's the whole beauty of why WiSDEM was developed, was that right there in a nutshell.
Yep. There you go. Love it.
Ta-da! Round of applause for everybody.
Well, I think I'll ask one more question just in the interest of time. I know we have an hour, but I'm thinking for a video, 30 minutes is pretty good. And then if we have any questions, that would be great. So the last one is just for folks to get to know you. Where will we find you on a Saturday at 10 in the morning?
Oh,
Yeah, Hannah, where will we find you at Saturday at 10 in the morning?
do you want my honest answer? Actually, don't judge. I'm probably still in bed at 10 o'clock.
Exactly. No judgment here. Perfect.
I do not have children yet. I have 2 dogs and my husband works night shift. So it's just me most of the time. And I'll just lay in bed. That is my me time.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So yeah, that's a good one. Last semester, you could catch me in here teaching blacksmithing because we had a Con Ed blacksmithing course. So
Awesome.
yeah,
That's so cool.
from 9 to 1, we had blacksmithing, which we'll have again next semester, actually. It will be on Saturdays. So last semester, you would have found me here sweating beet red with a hammer and just some iron. And we'd be out there and we'd just be blacksmithing, forging. Now, yeah, I'm with Hannah. You'll catch me in bed with my cats. I have 2 cats. I don't have any kids either. So I'm either going to be in bed or I'm just slowly waking up and I'm going to be watching YouTube. So that's basically it for me. Yeah, a little bit of coffee.
All right, the robot is not our friend today, guys. Okay, Ryan's gonna turn it around for me. Thanks. He normally works okay. I don't know what's going on with it.
How we assigned it as a male.
I named it, but I can't remember its name. I named it Edward. Our class named it.
I'm an Edward.
I know, right? Bad Edward. Now it's working and it's freaking out. Okay, I'm just gonna lay this here. Hopefully you can see me. So where will you find Liz at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning? I do have 2 kids. I'm the old fart of the group here. So I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, both girls, who are very, into outdoor stuff, similar to their mother. And so you can find Liz frequently on the soccer field, soccer mom right here. So my 8-year-old, I do not coach her, but she does have games almost every Saturday. And then my 5-year-old, my husband and I coach her team. So sometimes I'm coaching and sometimes I'm observing, but somewhere around a soccer ball, we are to be found at 10 a.m. on a Saturday. Last week, we had to be in High Point at 8 o'clock though. That was not fun because we had to leave our house at like 6:15 and getting all of them up and out of the house was challenging. But we were still on the soccer field at 10 a.m. So
Wow. Is that what you used that shovel for? Scoop the kids
scoop the kids up
Yeah.
into the car. Here we go. Yeah.
Come on, time to go.
On the soccer field.
Yeah.
Wow,
Oh goodness.
that is amazing.
Liz is also a morning person though. So
I was gonna say, I'm not a morning person.
I am not either.
Yeah. Liz is totally a morning person. Nobody in my family is, and like Hannah some days comes in and even our other coworker Caleb, and he's like, it's too early. I'm like, I already had like a cup and a half of coffee. Let's go. And he's just like, it's
6 a.m.
8 o'clock, Liz.
Wide open.
And then at 8 o'clock at night, Liz is like, all right.
Yeah, and then Caleb was when he stayed up till like 11 or 12. I was like, who are you?
Yeah.
Now, is that, Liz, is that a product of your background growing up on the bee farm? Did everyone get up early or?
My dad did. Yeah,
Okay.
my dad got up early, but actually it is a product of my background from doing an internship. So when I was in college as an undergraduate, I did an internship at a local garden center and a nursery producer. So I lived 30 minutes, even though I lived in Raleigh and they were in Raleigh. If you've ever been to Raleigh, you know what the traffic is like. But it took me 30 minutes to get from my apartment to them. And so we had to be there by 7 a.m. a lot of days. And so to avoid Raleigh traffic, I would leave earlier so I could get there, and then I would just sleep in my car until 7 o'clock and then go in. So actually, just from industry, I have become more of a morning person.
I did not. I had the same thing. I had to drive 50 minutes for 7 o'clock start time, but yeah, that didn't change.
Didn't change. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll kick in at some point. Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
But yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, thank you everyone for your time. This has been awesome. I don't know if anyone has any questions. If you do, please put them in the chat because we can't hear you.
Yeah, if you have questions, please put them in the chat because the robot is
Our enemy.
read. Yeah, I don't understand.
We've learned some things about the strengths and limits of technology today.
Yeah. Maybe it.
I love how it has to go by me every time.
I know, right?
Maybe it's an update.
So kind of the opposite of, I just wanted to make a point that Liz was talking about having to wake up early and like get so early to be at your internship and stuff. There is also, for those who are night owls, in the more of the industrial and manufacturing aspect is that you'll see people that you're going to be on an off shift. You're going to be working second, third shift. And I myself am not a morning person. So whenever I was training on first shift. And let me tell you, having to wake up early and drive and have to get right into it like early in the morning, that was totally not my speed. But then I moved to second shift when I had to just be there in the afternoon into the evening. That was way more my tempo. And I really flourished through that. And then at one point I did work third shift and it really wasn't that difficult for me. It was just literally the opposite schedule of first shift. And so for those who aren't morning doves, such as Dr. Liz is, there are options out there to where you can work nights or even just working a second shift because, yeah, I function way better during like daytime, nighttime. So.
And Miranda, correct me on this if I'm wrong, but is there welding work? I think it's called shutdown work, where you just work pretty much the entire 24-hour cycle for a few weeks and get paid money, and then that's
so it. At Deer Hitachi, when we had a shutdown, what we would do was just did maintenance.
Okay.
So like we did the shop cleanup. We made sure all the machines were working fine. We had to clean behind the robots, which let me tell you is nasty. The bays where the machinists were. So if you were machining and they were either drilling holes, tapping holes, resizing piping, something like that. There's like metal shavings everywhere and there's grease everywhere. And so having to clean the machinist bays, that was horrific too. So mostly maintenance shutdown weeks is whenever you're going to have maintenance. Some people do work their shutdown. Some people don't. Either that's going to be your vacation time or you work shutdown so that you have that extra week to do whatever you wanted. I was trying to always work shutdown because I was like, yeah, I want that extra week of vacation. So everybody else here though, typically their family beach trips was going to be that week. So they already did their schedule. Me, I worked the shutdowns because I was like, yeah, I want that extra week of time off, which wasn't that bad because literally all we did was just wipe down the walls and cleaned and repainted everything.
Wow.
Yep.
Cool. So we've learned that robots are dumb and gross.
We've learned that robots are dumb and gross. Yes. And that's another thing. A lot of people always say that robots are taking our jobs. That is far from the truth. If anything, I had a job because of the robot. Because this thing, you got to think, it lacks the mindfulness and the intelligence that a human has and just that little creative touch that we have. And all it does is it just does what it's programmed to do. And if it's not properly programmed, it's going to go haywire. So it was They do not make our lives easier, no. To a certain extent, they do. They do save time and production and everything. But for the most part, you're going to have people that are going to be taking care of the robots, doing the maintenance, having to go behind them and do the repairs. So if anything, we're going to see a lot more jobs come up because of how we're having more robots in the work.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I wouldn't have known that. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, we don't have any questions in the chat. So do y'all want to share any parting thoughts for our first lunch and learn? If not, that's okay.
This is Liz. I know you can't see me because our robot is not cooperating efficiently, and that's okay. You can just look at Miranda. Just smile, Miranda. There you go. I would just say, take advantage of those opportunities as they're put out to you. Also, WiSDEM is an organization that's in our it's not industrial technologies anymore. In our
Applied Engineering, Agriculture, and Skilled Trades division.
Thank you, Luke. I can never remember that. But it is in our division to help support us, but also for other people throughout the college. And so we would love to have student involvement. We really want to make this kind of become a big deal and start having meetings in person and stuff like that. So if anybody that's listening is interested, please reach out to one of us or all of us or whatever.
100%.
Because we really want to see this go for a long time and really want to build it up.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Really do.